I like to call myself Pork and Beans.
You do? If you think you don't have a new nickname from me right now, you're crazy. You're nuts if you think I'm not calling you Pork and Beans from now on. You're fucking crazy. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Greg, how's it going?
I decided to just jump right into it and see if I could catch you off guard, but I didn't.
No, you can't catch me off guard.
No, you're like a cat. You're like El Gato. You're always ready. You're poised and ready. We're fresh off episode 15, our Lost Facts episode, which was pretty darn fun. I really liked it. Good job.
Yeah, it was awesome. I had a good time.
Yeah, me too. All right. What you drink? As we start every episode, Steve, what you drinking?
So my studio audience from last episode walked down to the store, and she got me one of my favorites.
Longboard Lager. Yeah.
Company.
Yeah.
How about you?
That's a good one. Oh, you're really on it these days.
You know what?
You're really on it.
I've been shamed. You've shamed me too much.
Oh, I don't know about that. I went with the Jabroni.
Oh, the Jabroni. My favorite.
Yeah. A Peroni that reminds you of Jabroni. What? Come on. So cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
All right. I'm just not going to buy it that you won't drink Peroni because it reminds you of the word jabroni.
No. I will drink Peroni, although it has something that kind of
jumps in your mouth.
Sometimes, but
disagrees with your taste buds or with your belly.
Maybe some of both. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not sure.
That's interesting. I don't know what would be in it. It's a fine Italian beer. I don't know.
It's probably psychosomatic. I'm probably just in my head about it.
Well, enjoy that longboard. I think you made a solid choice. So,
well, it was made for me, and that's the best choice.
That's the God bless America. All right. Do we know what we're talking about today?
We do.
What do you got on the slate for us?
So a friend of mine, he has been going through his mom passed away a while back, and he's been kind of going through her stuff little by little. And today he brought in for me a field guide, a bird field guide. And it was a series called the Golden Guides. And I think they were put out in like the late 40s or 1950s, somewhere around then. Mm-hmm. And so all the artwork it's pretty like dated, you can tell that it's from a certain era. And so I started.
So is it sketches?
Yeah, they're drawings.
Neat.
They're colored,
Cool, neat.
And so I was just flipping through it, and I got to this family of birds, and I just had to do it because I'm like, Greg, one, he's gonna love this. It's the name of the family.
Okay.
Two, he's probably going to think I'm making it up.
Oh, fresh off the Lost Facts.
Yeah.
True or false.
And 3, it's like one of my favorite birds ever that I'd totally forgotten about.
They all can't be your favorite. We've discussed this.
Well,
they all can't be. They can't be.
The starling's not my favorite. So there's one that's my favorite.
Well, I like everything that you're saying. And here's my promise. No. I'm not going to promise. It's in my noodle. Here's my thought process. We got criticism that I interrupt Steve too much.
No.
What? This is what you told me.
Well, I like it.
Let him talk is what.
I like it.
Your hippie, vegan, dumb friends on date night said I talk too much.
Okay. One thing you need to learn about the
hippies.
The hardcore bird watching community,
okay,
that their tastes don't necessarily align with mainstream America, which is what you are bringing to this podcast.
Got it. Okay. All right. I'm going to think about it. I'll think about it. But these people sound like, they might have a mental problem, and they're probably furries on the side and going to bars. So I'm going to really try to cause a beef between me. We talked about Facebook in the last one. I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm just saying, I bet we'd get into it if we were Facebook friends.
Well, then I think this episode is going to go on for like a couple hours just after I tell you what the name of the family is.
All right. Lay it on me. What are we talking about today?
So this bird, the reason that made me stop and think this is for Greg is because they called this family in the late 40s, early 50s, and even the scientific name for the family is the Goatsuckers.
I mean, yes. I mean,
so
wait a minute. Did you say the scientific name is the Goatsuckers?
Yeah. So the Latin name, it's Caprimulga formes or something like that. So Capria is goat, like Capricorn, and mulga is to milk or to suck milk from.
Okay. So wait a minute. I might get real excited here. Are we talking about a bird? Or are we talking about something else?
It's a bird.
We're not talking about a bat?
No.
But it would make perfect sense if it was a bat though, right?
It would. And it does have a lot of similar characteristics to bats.
All right. I can't wait to get into there. So describe the Goatsuckers for us.
So we're actually need a little more specific than that. So actually now they typically call them the Nightjars. And the bird we're going to be talking about today is in this family, and it's called the common nighthawk. And It's not really a hawk. It's more closely related to like swifts, which are kind of swallow-like birds. So the common nighthawk is a bird that, much like bats, it's crepuscular. So it comes out in the evenings and mornings, and it eats insects on the wing. It's like an aerial predator. And yeah, so it doesn't feed at night, but it is crepuscular in the mornings and the evenings.
Okay. So I don't even have a visual idea of what a nightjar, common nighthawk would look like. What does it look like?
Well, the common nighthawk, it's about 25 centimeters long. Pretty long wings for that size of a body. It's got about a 50 to 60 centimeter wingspan. Mm-hmm. And it has kind of an erratic flight. I mean, it flies strongly, but it's always moving around, like a bat does, catching insects. And so it's always kind of flying around catching insects when you see it. And so that's one way to tell when you see it. But they're really, most of the nightjars they have what they call a cryptic coloration. So they're kind of mottled dark grays, browns, blacks, and a little bit of lighter colors so that they're camouflaged on the ground. This bird during the day often spends a lot of time on the ground, and we'll get into it later, but they nest on the ground. So they kind of have this mottled coloration. They have these big, dark eyes. Their eyes are really dark. Out near the just past the midpoint of their wings, they have a white band, which is really noticeable when they're flying. They have a white throat line, and then they have a really tiny bill. But the interesting thing about their tiny bill is that they have a huge mouth. So their bill that sticks out from their face is small, but when they open their mouth, it's kind of like this, and it's like half of their head opens up. It's just an enormous mouth. And there's I don't know what the show is. There's like an animated show on TV. The characters like move and like the whole top of their head lifts up. Maybe
you know what it is. It's the brothers on. It's
the brother.
The brother. He's Canadian. He's an adopted brother. I can't. Yeah.
So it's like that. It's like their whole head opens up, and so that really benefits them because, like I said, they're aerial predators, and it helps them to catch these insects when they're flying around.
All right. About 25 centimeters. I love that. What's the weight in Miller Lights?
So you're going to need probably on average like 5 or 6 of these guys to make 1 Miller Light.
Okay.
So we're looking at 2 to 3.5 ounces.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you remembered that.
I have a note.
Nice.
In my mind, because of the coloration, I'm imagining like a crow with a smaller beak kind of thing, but am I close on that? Like,
no.
Okay.
I'm going to say you're not really close at all. So crows are kind of big and bulky, and they're obviously solid black.
Right.
So these birds are more mottled in coloration. Like if you see one far away, it mostly looks kind of gray. Mm-hmm. And then at the and their wings, it has these 2 white wing bars, which are really noticeable.
Yeah, that sounds kind
And
of cool.
it's a lot thinner and longer wingspan per its, compared to its body size.
All right. I'm getting a better picture now. So what's the lifespan of these guys?
So typically they live 4 to 5 years, but the oldest one on record is a female bird from, I think, Ohio. And it was at least 9 years old. So they first banded it one time and it was already an adult. And then they recaptured it and banded it again 9 years later. So it was more than 9 years old.
Got it.
So, but typically they think they live from 4 to 5 years.
Okay. Well, let's get into the habitat. You said that they're on the ground a lot. That's what you referred to, but you even said nesting can happen on the ground. So lay it on us.
So they have really varied habitats that they're found in. Sometimes it's wide open plains or deserts. Sometimes they're found in urban areas. In fact, they're often fairly common in urban areas. And they're found throughout North America. And they breed from northern Canada all the way down to Central America. And that's where they breed. And then they migrate to South America. They'll migrate down to kind of everywhere from the northern part of South America down to about central Argentina. And like I said, they can be in all kinds of different habitats. And most of North America, you can find common nighthawks. There are interestingly some places in California, like they're not really on the southern or central California coast or in the Central Valley too much. But occasionally you do see them in places like that. But throughout the rest of the nation, they're pretty common.
How many of these guys have you seen? How many have you personally seen?
I wouldn't even be able to tell you. In fact, when I saw this bird in the book, and it was the goatsuckers and all that, and I was like, how to do it. This is a bird that I really love. I don't see them around here in Sacramento, but when I was a kid growing up, when we'd be eating dinner outside at night, and it starts getting dark, you'd hear these guys, and they make these calls as they're out feeding on insects in the air, and then they also do these mating display dives that I'll get into in a little bit.
I had my note for mating rituals. So, so we love this, but let's talk about. I still don't quite understand why they're called the goatsuckers 100%. So maybe you could get into, like you said, they nest on, or they spend time on the ground, and they nest on the ground.
Yeah, they do nest on the ground, but the goatsucker thing is kind of just like it's like the chupacabra. It's a myth, basically. There was a myth going around that these guys would at night, they would go and nurse off goats. Who knows where that came from?
Buddy, you're burying the lead. That's a great story.
That's the lead?
That's the lead. That's a great, yes. Why? That's good, Steve.
We should have gone over this ahead of time.
No, why mess with the magic? So you're saying that there used to be a myth that these guys were what?
They would suckle at the teat of goats during the night.
Tell me this was like a Native American thing, or like what the hell?
Native American, because I don't think there were any domesticated goats or anything like that.
I mean, come on. That's a great story.
Is it though?
I guess you have to trust me on this one. Hey, you know what? To each his own. To each his own, Steve. It might not be a great story for you. That's a really interesting, fun little story to me.
To me, it just makes me angry, Greg.
Why? Why? Because they're misnomed?
It's like a Facebook thing that you have to respond to because you can't hold back. It's like,
so if someone said this is a fact, this is why they're called the goatsucker, I could see that. But it sounds like it's been already debunked, and people just think that it's named after this because of this. Someone once upon a time came up with this crazy crap. Okay. And someone probably high in Bishop on meth is the one who came up with this, right? Am I insulting our Bishop listeners?
Yeah, I don't know what you heard about our Bishop listeners, but you need to back off right now.
Isn't that where Breaking Bad was filmed? Was in Bishop?
Oh, you know what? I'm starting to get angry
Are
right
those
now.
fighting words? Don't worry, I'll send you a Facebook message. We'll talk about it. Okay, we still nest. Let's talk about nest.
Okay, so before we get into the nesting phase, do you want to talk a little bit about the courtship routine? I know you love.
Let's end on the courtship. Let's go to the nesting.
Okay,
I want to know what nesting.
So they nest on the ground, and they don't really prepare anything. They just lay a couple eggs on the ground.
That sounds just like me when I had my first kid.
Is it? Yeah.
Didn't no preparation.
Yeah.
We need a crib. Cool.
And the eggs, for something that you would expect it would be on the ground, they're kind of a creamy to olive-ish green and speckled so that they kind of blend in. And they only lay a couple eggs. And they incubate the eggs for about 18 days. And then the young, they take their first flights at around 18 days after they hatch. So we're talking 36 days from laying the eggs to flying. And then between 25 and 30 days, they're totally proficient flyers. And by this is the fact that really hit home with me, is by day 30, they are never seen with their parents again. 30 days after hatching.
I mean, can we talk about what a dream that is?
That is the dream.
Let me think about that one for a second.
So I actually found a Nighthawk nest when I was a kid. It was funny because I used to walk around outside our house when I was a kid for miles and miles during the summer. And I only ever found one Nighthawk nest, and it was probably less than 400 meters from my parents' back door. And I flushed this Nighthawk up off the ground, which I'd never seen one during the day because you only see them, when they're out feeding at night. And I went over there to where it came off the ground, and there's 2 eggs sitting there. And I would have figured out.
How'd they taste? Were they delicious?
They were pretty good.
Did you scramble them, or did you do them? Did you do them over easy?
I actually just popped them raw.
Oh. You're training. Yeah, you're training for the big fight.
I was always training. I mean, look at that.
Oh,
look at those guns.
The gun show.
Yeah.
Welcome to the gun show, everybody.
Our studio audience is rolling her eyes right now.
Rolling. Oh, I thought you were going to say rolling, laughing. Yeah, really.
Rolling her eyes.
Oh, yeah. I'll leave that one. I'll let that one be. You didn't even let me ask clutch size. You went right to it.
Well, you said you wanted to get into that before the courtship, so
yeah, I'll take responsibility for that too. But I need to think about my order of questioning, obviously. All right, let's talk about mating ritual.
Okay, so
this is a new part of the show we talked about.
Yeah, well, and not, it's not going to be great for all the birds, but when it is, sometimes it's pretty cool. So the males, they'll be flying up pretty high, and then they do this dive, and they dive down. And when they come out of their dive, like as they're breaking to come back up, they dive from high, break, and come back up. They make this sound and it's again made with the feathers of their wings instead of their tail. This sound that goes over their wings, and they call it booming or hooving, but to me it sounds like when you're watching a NASCAR race on TV and you hear the cars go by the camera. It's like, vroom, vroom, vroom. That's what it sounds like, and we'll play it in a little bit later or whenever you want, but that's what it sounds like to me.
No, let's play it.
But let me finish the mating ritual first, and then we'll play this.
Okay, got it.
So then after he's dove however many times he needs to dive to get this female's attention, at some point they both land on the ground, and then the male kind of rocks his body around, and then just like the lark sparrow, he kind of spreads his tail out. I know you like when they spread their tail out. He makes this kind of croaking noise, and he'll keep doing that until the relationship is consummated.
I mean, pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and play for you. It's it's their call, but then it's also the sound they make when they're coming out of that dive in the mating ritual.
Okay.
So they call their call a peent, Peent. You'll probably hear why on that. And then what they call the booms, which I think are like the NASCAR race cars.
Wait a minute. What's that big sound at the very end of that? That it was like a roar, like a.
I think that's the NASCAR race car. Let me play it.
So. Do you say peent and boom or boon? Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, I want to hear it again.
Okay, we'll play it one more time.
It's great. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's
and so
great.
when we were kids, like, so they eat insects on the wing, and they don't think that nighthawks can echolocate like bats do. There's no evidence for or against them being able to echolocate, but when I was a kid, we used to take little pebbles when they were flying around, and we'd throw them up in the air when they were around, and you could see them. They would like chase them. They would like go after the pebbles in the air because they either saw
insects or something,
or whatever. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
All right. Well, what else is it? Did we do it?
So no, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean, even if we were going to hold something back for the next,
you said
episode.
You had 2 hours.
2 hours. I did.
At the beginning. You'll have to go back and listen and say.
I don't remember that.
If I didn't interrupt you, it would go on for 2 hours or something like that.
So the bird has been declining since, maybe the 50s or 60s, especially in urban areas. And I don't know if you remember some of the architecture in, what was it, the 50s or 60s had those flat roofs with all the rocks on them. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
So they would actually nest on those quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And as kind of architecture went away from that actually, they think that led to some of their decline in the urban areas.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's pretty popular in the desert still. Like it helps them to keep the houses cool.
Mm-hmm. So they have actually done some things where on some of the normal roofs, they've put those in the corners, like a flat patch of gravel in the corners of the roofs, and they've gotten them to nest in those areas. So sometimes they don't nest on the ground. They'll be on a roof, or sometimes they'll be on top of a tree stump or something like that. But usually, if they're not on the ground, they're pretty low, not on a roof, unless they're in a urban area. When the eggs hatch, like I said, the parents don't really do anything. Like a lot of birds that nest on the ground, they'll make a depression or a scrape so the eggs kind of stay in one place. But the nighthawks don't really do that. They're just kind of lay them on the ground. And after they hatch, there's little bits of eggshell everywhere. Well, that kind of visual signal could attract predators. So the nighthawk adults will actually take those eggshell fragments. They will eat some of them, maybe for calcium or other nutrients, but then they'll also just carry them away from the nest so that they don't attract predators. Another thing, when they sit in trees, which oftentimes they are on the ground, but when they sit in trees, normally a bird will sit kind of perpendicular to the branch that they're on. They actually are more parallel to the branch.
Is that because of the shape of their feet?
It could be somewhat to their feet, and it's probably a little bit to, they have that cryptic coloration. It helps them blend in more when they're parallel. But I don't know.
Interesting.
And then they have found fossilized basically nighthawks from 400,000 years ago. So it's a bird that's been around a long time. And then with these long distance migrants, we talked about them going from northern Canada all the way down to Argentina. They do sometimes go astray. So sometimes our new listeners in Iceland may see them. They've also been seen in Greenland and in the British Isles.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's sometimes
I like these guys. Do they go by different names in different areas of the world, but besides?
I was wondering if you can ask that. So they're most of these nightjars are New World species, but they do have some traditional names. And I'm just going to give you a few of them because this species has quite a few of them.
All right.
So one of them is called the bull bat, like B-U-L-L bat.
Yeah, great.
Mosquito hawk.
Okay.
The burnt land bird, because oftentimes, so this is a species that, like if they are in a forest, they often prefer areas that were burned recently and are a little more open. And so they will nest in those areas. They're sometimes called the moth hunter. And then this one, I do not understand at all, but sometimes they're called
hairy lipschitz.
That's very close, actually.
What?
Sometimes they're called pork and beans. I have no idea why.
Oh man, that's a good one.
But I call them common.
Yeah. Wow. Pork and beans. Man, didn't see that coming.
No, nobody did.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite Don Rickles things that he would do is when someone asked him who he was, because he thought he was so famous, he never had to introduce himself. If someone asked him who he was, he would always call himself Harry Lipschitz. And that tickles me. So Buddy Hackett, we'll talk about Buddy Hackett one day, Buddy Hackett and Don Rickles, but two of my favorite comedians of all times.
I like to call myself pork and beans.
You do? If you think you don't have a new nickname from me right now, you're crazy. You're nuts if you think I'm not calling you pork and beans now on. You're fucking crazy.
I can't say I haven't.
Well, did we say it all? Did we do it all?
Hopefully. I mean, maybe we're holding something back for the forgotten facts.
Oh, man. Well, good. So, yeah, I like these guys. Good job. I like these guys. Uh-oh. Hear that?
That's our new winner.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone heard the last episode, we know that this is our guy. This is our intro.
If anyone heard it, Greg, they heard it.
The people that heard it would do it. So, so that music means it's time for Ann Steph. And what I thought I'd talk about today, and this, the show's evolving, the show's changing. I was thinking the other day, BirdBrag, and I was thinking I haven't even talked about golf yet. And then I was thinking, oh my God, BirdBrag, bragging about birdies on courses. And I've played golf all over the world, really. And I think we're going to bring in some golf now. We're going to talk about golf, and we're going to specifically talk about courses and holes that I love, but that I remember getting a birdie on. And I'm not a great golfer anymore. I used to be a way better golfer, but it'd
be a short episode for me.
Would it?
I've one birdie in my life.
Oh, well, we got to hear that later. Save it.
Okay.
As they say, put a pin in that.
Put a pin in it.
Put a pin in that. The course I'm going to talk about today is, I had to start here. It's Spring Hills Golf Course in Watsonville, California. And the reason I bring this course up is because we've had our family golf tournament there every year for, I wish I could remember immediately, but I think it's 27 years.
Wow.
I know. Really awesome tradition. Started kind of casual, me, my two brothers, and my dad, and now my nieces and nephews have played. My oldest one has played in it. It's just a great family tradition. We have a running trophy with all the names on it that goes back, and we have some cool family traditions on there. So Spring Hill Golf Course. And in Watsonville, for people who don't know, Watsonville is right between Santa Cruz and Monterey. So Central Coast. It's a little inland. It's a couple miles inland. But the cool thing about this, there's several cool things. So it opened in the mid-60s, 1965. And the house that's still there, it was owned by the Silvas, and the Silva estate's there. And the house is the club, the pro shop, the clubhouse, bar, clubhouse, all those things. And when it was built, the landowners built one golf hole on it to play. And it's still there. It's the seventh hole.
We used to do that in my backyard when I was a kid.
And the seventh hole is a par 3, right? And it's a great hole. And it eats my lunch so often, so many times. But we've played our family golf tournament there, and it's this hilly course. And so we have because we've been doing it so long, we have so many great traditions there. One of them is, instead of Amen Corner, which is the 11th, 12th, and 13th hole at Augusta, we have Kenty Corner. And Kenty Corner is the 12th, 13th, and 14th hole here. And that's the tiebreaker holes. So if we have a tie at the end, whoever has the low score on those holes, it's just awesome. And it's family owned by this husband and wife who have it. They've had it forever. They don't really remember us. They don't think about us a whole lot, but they remember us when we walk in. They're like, oh, those are the dipshits that have their family golf tournament here, bring their trophy, all that stuff.
Drink a lot of booze.
They drink a lot of booze. And they did a cool, on the 18th hole, they did this water feature with this waterfall, and just so many great memories of this place. They have this cat that's been there. That cat must be 80 years old. I have no idea. Same cat that greets you. And the cat's got to weigh 30 pounds. It's just this ginormous cat. So the hole I was going to talk about was Kenty Corner hole on number 13. And it's a little par 3, tiny par 3, like 90 yards, 100 yards, straight uphill. And when you hit it, you can't see where it really lands. You got the direction, you got the idea, but did it bounce big? Did it bounce small? And one year, this is several years ago, I just hit the shot that I thought was a little thin and thought it was, not up there. But when I got up there, it was like a foot away from the pin.
Nice.
It was great. It was a great little knock-in birdie. But the hole's amazing because you can't see really how well you hit it until you're there. So you don't know how far the pin is.
I hate those uphill holes like that. I like them.
And this is a tiny guy. So it's a wedge. It's like a sand wedge or a light wedge. So you just take this small little, it's like number 7 at Pebble Beach, right? It's this little tiny hole with a bunch of character to it. Just super fun. So I thought I would talk about that and encourage everyone to be there. And so and what it says here, while the golf course officially opened in 1965, it says golf has been played there since 1927.
That was on the one hole.
How cool is that? Yeah, on the one hole on number 7.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that's really cool. And so I give them a shout out. They're great. It's great, affordable Central Valley golf, which a lot of golf is not affordable there. Yeah. But it's fun. All right. Awesome. So what did we learn today, Steve? We learned about the Goatsuckers / Nightjars / common Nighthawk. But we get to a bunch of names later. We go down to, we'll get to that in a second. And they're related or somehow look or related to swifts and swallows. They related to them?
They're fairly close
in the family. Okay. Crepuscular. I learned a word.
Nice. We should do a vocabulary quiz sometime.
So they're crepuscular. Say it again. What does crepuscular mean?
It's when they're active primarily in the twilight hours of the evening and the morning. Yeah. Not really night, not really day,
I love this line. They have cryptic coloration. Cryptic coloration with big dark eyes. Tiny bill, but a huge mouth. Huge.
What's the name of the Southport kid?
I wish I could remember. It's his little brother.
Yeah.
It's Stan's little brother, I think.
I think you're right.
God, I can't think of what it is.
Yeah. We're losing people.
Yeah. I can't. And remember the cartoon that he would watch would always be, have the same thing because it was a Canadian cartoon.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now. Ike is the brother.
Yes. Okay.
And then Terrence and Phillip is the show, the Terrence and Phillip.
Yeah, and it's like the top of his head isn't connected to the bottom, and that's kind of how it looks like when a Nighthawk opens their mouth.
That's great. Their clutch size is just a couple eggs, not huge, right?
Usually just one brood a year.
One brood, okay. And they fly young. They get out of the nest young. They're proficient flyers in just weeks, and 30 days after they're gonzos. Just they're gone. Wow. I'm out.
Bouncing. I'm going to bounce.
And then their call, the paint call. Paint and boom, like NASCAR.
Yeah, but I don't like the boom.
Oh, I like it.
No, I like
greats. Oh, you don't.
I don't like the word boom for it. It doesn't sound like a boom to me.
Yeah.
Like if you tell me boom, that's not what I hear.
Yeah.
I hear
That's pretty close to that's pretty close to the sound that they make. I should play that back to back. Sadly, their numbers are declining. They're declining.
Yeah, but they are really widespread. So some areas they are increasing a little bit, but
Good.
Overall their numbers are declining.
All right. Bullbat, mosquito hawk, burnt land bird, moth hunter. But what's our favorite name for them?
Pork and beans.
Yeah,
pork and beans.
Pork and beans.
And
it gives me like I wish that Weezer knew this when they wrote the song "Pork and Beans."
Yeah, I mean, Maybe they did. I
don't know. That'd be awesome if they did. I've never understood that stupid song. Anyways, I like Weezer, and that song grates on me.
Who does? Who understands anything?
Well, I think we did it, man.
Yeah.
I think we did it. You did a good job on this one. Who would have seen it coming? Yeah, I appreciate it. So everyone go to Insta. If you have any thoughts or ideas, email us at birdbrag@gmail.com. I'm going to have another Baroni.
Nice. I'm going to have
another jabroni. Sorry.
I'm going to have another longboard lager.
Good for you.
I would be real happy with a sponsorship from Longboard Lager, actually.
It's a race. It's a race to see who gets to us first. I'm still rooting for Miller Lite. I'm rooting for height. It's a great story. I wouldn't hate the story. Again, I like the beer. I'm fine with it. Yeah. But people at Miller, like, take a listen. We would be so true. We would never stray. We wouldn't have shots episodes anymore. Do you think they might approve of the shots episode? But
nope.
You know what? We'd figure food. We do food pairings with the Miller Lite. Like, we would be good. We'd be good stewards of that brand.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know. All right,
we have been our whole life.
We have. It's true. Especially in the summer, especially at a Vegas pool. We are dedicated people. All right, man. Well, we did it. There's our music. We're out of here.
Peace.
See you, buddy.
Later.